Hi everybody, this is Paddy from OddsOnFPL, and I'm going to be talking to you about how we've been doing over the last couple of weeks with the OddsOnFPL team. As well as that, we're going to be talking about clean sheet odds, goal scorer odds, who to captain, I wonder who. But first and foremost, there's a bit of a celebration to be had. We're inside the top 100k, finally. After our wildcard in game week 8, it brought us up the rankings quite substantially. We're about 928,000 overall, and now we're doing a little bit better. So stick around and I'll tell you how we're doing. So yeah, anyway, we're up to 51,000 overall in the world, which is in the top 0.5%. Not doing too badly. The points total we have is 559,000, or 559, and our game week rank was 242,000. Overall, the team itself did quite well. Our transfer in was Simicast on a bit of a punt, who didn't quite turn out too great considering he got subbed off before 60 minutes. Looking at the rest of the team though, you can see that Shire was quite fortunate that he got subbed off before the 60 or before they conceded the goal late on. And Pope unfortunately didn't keep a clean sheet due to a last minute goal from Bournemouth. Looking at the other players in the team, Miguel Almiron's a legend. What am I going to say? The man he's magic. The goals he scored were really good, and he's always been that sort of player where he's looked really good, but he just doesn't have the end product. At 5.1 million now, he could be a bargain. And yeah, if you don't have him, maybe consider him. Phil Foden as well, what a player. Scored a hat-trick alongside Erling Haaland. The two of them, both born in Manchester, so it means something a little bit more special to them. Looking at the rest of the team, Son Heung-min may have got me a few points, but, you know, I'll allow it, considering he did so well off the bench last week. Martinelli got an assist, but he got a yellow card. And then up top, Mitrovic, who everybody owns now, got subbed off early due to injury. And then Kane, he did alright, he scored a penalty, but Arsenal just dominated that game against Spurs. Erling Haaland, again last night, scored a goal against Copenhagen, or he scored 2, and he was subbed off at halftime. So there's no real worry about his minutes. Because of how dominant they were against Copenhagen, it just makes it so much easier to not have to worry about him captaincy-wise. Looking at the bench, it is convenient that Danny Ward remembers how to keep a clean sheet as soon as he's on the bench. And then the rest of the lads, Nico Williams is not going to get you points, but it's great to have bench fodder. And then Andreas, he's 4.6 million, what to expect. And Emerson looks a bit of a dud. I was hoping he'd play more minutes, but to be honest, it looks like he's going to be on the bench for West Ham for the foreseeable future. Looking at this week coming up, I'm just going to go through some of the fixtures really quickly, and I'm going to talk about their clean sheet percentages. So first up is clean sheets. All of these odds are taken from fplfactory.com. It's been very nice to allow us to use them. As you can see here, some of the fixtures include, or well, some of the most probable teams to keep a clean sheet, well, anybody to keep a clean sheet over 40%, are Man City and Chelsea. Of these two teams, Chelsea have to worry about Fofana because he did go off injured yesterday. Man City as well are without Kyle Walker, and Man City are against Southampton. Ralph Hasenhüttl looks like he's going to get sacked, so there is the worry about new manager bounce. I don't think they'll have one in before the game at the weekend, but it does look like a game that they're just going to use as an excuse to finally get rid of him. Chelsea as well, they're up against Wolves. Wolves recently sacked their manager as well, so there seems to be a common trend between these two teams. Wolves just lack any attacking threat. They just don't seem like they're going to score. West Ham as well, they're against Fulham. That could be higher if Mitro's out, to be honest. So that's something to keep an eye on. Newcastle as well, they're one of the better sides defensively, and they're starting to look like like a really good side. They're at home to Brentford, so potentially their clean sheet probability is a lot higher than that. Looking at the least likely, it's obviously Southampton and Wolverhampton because they're both playing Man City and Chelsea. And then Fulham are against West Ham. There tends to always be the inverse of these things in this. Looking at some teams here where their fixtures might be slightly better, Spurs only have a 21% chance against Brighton, and I think they're probably better defensively than that. Liverpool and Arsenal are also playing each other, so it's unlikely that either of them will keep a clean sheet, but at under 20%, Arsenal or Liverpool both could. I think if I was looking for players from them from a defensive standpoint, I'd probably consider benching them unless they're sort of an attacking outlet like Trent Alexander-Arnold, even though he's not great at FPL anymore. Next up, we're going to be talking about the goal scorers. For the goal scorers this week, the most likely player to score is Erling Braut Haaland. Shocker to absolutely nobody, he's a goal machine. He scored 14 goals in 8 games so far, and yeah, I mean, he's just going to score goals. Callum Wilson is the second highest, which is quite surprising, but Newcastle are at home to Brentford. He's looked alright, he's probably on penalties as well. Isaac's probably still out, and then looking at the rest of the players, then Jesus against Liverpool, I probably wouldn't think that's a great chance. I think he's probably less than that. Then after that, it's Harry Kane against Brighton. Looking at the rest of the players, Dom Solanke's surprisingly one of the highest probability goal scorers this week. So that is something to keep an eye on. A lot of players brought him in for a punt on their wildcard because he was so cheap. Looking at Wilfried Zaha as well, he's at home to Leeds. They've got a little bit of a sticky fixture there. Crystal Palace generally aren't that good against Leeds, but Wilfried Zaha's on penalties, and he's a good player. It's absolutely shocking to me to look at the odds now and see that Mohamed Salah has a less likely probability of scoring than Gabriel Jesus in a fixture between Arsenal and Liverpool. How the turntables. But yeah, looking at the rest of the players, there's some interesting ones in there. You can see Joe Lenton for some reason is there, and then there's also some other ones that I think probably have a higher probability of scoring. You look at Jared Bowen, Ollie Watkins, Phil Foden. These are interesting players. And then if you also look at somebody like Jamie Vardy, that is a bit of a worry as well, because Leicester are playing against Bournemouth away, so there could be goals there, but I'm not sure he'll start. I think there might be a possibility that Patson Daka starts ahead of him. Next up, we got an interesting discussion here. We're going to be talking about captaincy, and for captaincy this week, it's going to be a really difficult decision. If you're going anyone other than Erling Haaland, you are taking silly risks, and I am not going to advise you to do that. So don't do it. Be smart, be sensible. There's no point to take a risk. He got subbed off at halftime against Copenhagen. He's going to start the game, and he's the highest percentage goal scorer probability this week. He'll probably score another hat-trick knowing him. They're at, let me just check. Man City are at home to Southampton, so he's at home. He's scoring a hat-trick. Just captain him and be happy with the results. Everybody else is going to captain him, so realistically you're not going to gain that much ground, but if you don't captain him and go differential, then you're taking a risk at losing rank. Even not owning him, it's crazy. His effective ownership this week is probably going to be about 170,000 or 170%. Looking at next week then, this is my team. I haven't made any transfers yet. It's all dependent on a couple of things. If Mitrovic is ruled out, the likelihood is that I'm going to move to a Man United attacking asset. I'll probably bring in Anthony Martial, who's around the same price. But then apart from that, if I'm looking at the rest of my team, the most likely worry that I have is somebody like my defense. Emerson and Williams are sort of bench fodder, and then Tsimikas, I'm not really sure I want to keep too long. So I might be doing a quick move away from him. The issue is when it comes to Tsimikas, there's only really Chelsea or Man City who you would consider. I would consider Newcastle as well, but I already have a double up in the defense. Spurs don't really have any options at that price point. It could be bringing in somebody like a Crystal Palace defender like Guay or Mitchell, somebody like that who's under 4.5 million and a bit interesting. Man United potentially as well. I could bring in someone like Diogo Dalot or Lisandro Martinez, but I just don't trust them defensively. And then looking at Nottingham Forest and Aston Villa, that could be someone that I could consider. The unfortunate thing is that I brought in Lucas Dean for his 7-pointer, but then he got injured. And if I had kept him, if I had chose somebody like Tyrone Mings or Konsa, I would have got their clean sheet points for last week as well. Then I wouldn't have to worry about it. But FPL works like that in weird ways, and I guess I can't complain that I'm in the top 100k. So yeah, pretty much that's my plans for this week. I haven't made any transfers yet. I will post them on Twitter, so do follow me on Twitter. I will post the update there. I've told you my most likely moves. I've got one free transfer and a little bit in the bank, so you know what's going to happen potentially. So yeah, anyway, if you have liked the video, subscribe, For everybody who subscribes, I will leave a comment to any of your questions down below. Thanks a lot. I've been Paddy. Over and out. See you later. Bye.